I am home in the here and in the now. I am home in the here and in the now. I am solid, I am free. I am solid, I am free. So, dear community, now we would like to offer a song called "Island of the Self." I hope you enjoy it. And if you have the lyrics, then please you can sing along with us as well. Breathing in, I go back to the island within myself. There are beautiful trees within the island. There are clear streams of water. There are birds, sunshine, and fresh air. Breathing out, feel safe. I enjoy going back to my island. Breathing in, I go back to the island within myself. There are beautiful trees within the island. There are clear streams of water. There are birds, sunshine, and fresh air. Breathing out, I feel safe. I enjoy going back to my island. Now, we would like to offer a song called "Please Call Me by My True Name." And please sing it with us also. Sisters as well as everyone all over the world. My joy's like spring so warm, it makes all over the earth. My pain's like a river of tears, so vast it fills the four oceans. Please call me by my true name, so I can hear all my cries and laughters at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Please call me by my true name, so that I can wake up and the door of my heart can be left Now we will offer a song called Happiness, or Happiness is Here and Now. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries, nowhere to go, nothing to do, no longer in a hurry. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries, somewhere to go, something to do, but I don't need to hurry. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries, nowhere to go, nothing to do, no longer in a hurry. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries, somewhere to go, something to do, but I don't need to hurry. Now we have one more very special song to offer to you, and it will be a secret until you hear it. We are all the leaves of one tree. We are all the leaves of one tree. The time has come for all to live as one. We are all the leaves of one tree. We are all the waves of one sea. We are all the waves of one sea. The time has come for all to live as one. We are all the waves of one sea. We are all the stars of one sky. We are all the stars of one sky. The time has come for all. We are all the stars of one sky. We are all the leaves leaves of one tree. We are one. We are all the stars of one sky. We are all the stars of one sky. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Please call me by my true name one more time.
Do you have a French singer? Okay, can a French singer come up, please? Help us to sing in French. You see? Okay, then English, no French. The English, the phone call.
Ma joie, to sing.
Pour le bonheur maintenant.
Oh, ma joie comme le printemps, mais...
Okay.
Oh no. Okay. Ma joie est comme le printemps, elle épanouit les fleurs tout autour de la terre. Ma peine, une rivière de larmes sauvage, les 4 océans. Oh, appelez-moi par mes vrais noms, pour que j'entende à la fois mes rires et mes pleurs, pour que ma joie et ma peine ne fassent plus qu'une. Oh, appelez-moi par mes vrais noms, afin que je m'éveille, que la porte de mon cœur s'ouvre enfin à jamais, la porte de la compassion. Ma joie est comme le printemps, elle épanouit les fleurs tout autour de la terre. Ma peine, une rivière de larmes, si vaste qu'elle emplit les 4 océans. Oh, appelez-moi par mes vrais noms, pour que j'entende à la fois mes rires et mes pleurs, pour que ma joie et ma peine ne fasse plus qu'une. Oh, appelez-moi par mes vrais noms, afin que je m'éveille, que la porte de mon cœur s'ouvre enfin à jamais. La porte de la compassion.
Good morning, dear respected Thai, dear community, dear friends joining us online. Today is our second day of our online retreat, Cooling the Flames. This morning we shall be listening to a Dharma talk by one of the senior Dharma teachers in the Upper Hamlet. His name is Brother Titjang Phap, which translates to Brother Stream, Brother Dharma Stream. He has been ordained as a novice monk since 2003, and he has been a monk now for 17 years. Brother Dharma for young people, especially for children. Throughout all of our summer retreat, he has always been at the forefront in finding ways of bringing mindfulness into daily lives for children and families. So let us all welcome our Dharma teacher this morning. I'd like to invite the live community in Lower Hamlet to all stand up, and all of our friends watching online. All you have to do is just join your palm as our Dharma teacher arrives and comes to stage to offer the Dharma talk this morning. Thank you. There's still a little bit of French.
Testing 1, 2. We can enjoy our breathing. I think the French translation is still in progress. And we can enjoy the beautiful lotus flower. I think it's from the pond here in Lower Hamlet. I don't know if I can compare to the beauty of the lotus flower. This must be childproof. Ah. Est-ce que nous sommes prêts? Sinon, on peut faire l'enseignement demi en français, demi en anglais. Ça va? We can do the Dhamma talk in half in French and half in English. It means that maybe the content will be a bit shorter, but at least everyone can understand. I have arrived. I am home in the here and in the now. I have arrived. I am home in the here and in the now. I am solid. I am free. I am solid. I am free. In the ultimate I dwell. In the ultimate I dwell. Je suis chez moi, je suis arrivé. Il n'y a qu'ici et maintenant, bien solide, vraiment libre. Je prends refuge en moi-même. Je suis chez moi, je suis arrivé. Il n'y a qu'ici et maintenant, bien solide, vraiment libre, dans la terre pure, je m'établis. If you have some tea, those of you sitting there online, you might like to take it in your hand. Si vous avez du thé chez vous, donc vous voyez chez vous. Ah, ça va? Ah, ok. So if you, si vous avez du thé, on peut vraiment réjouir de ce moment présent avec la thé, avec la sangha virtuelle qui est autour de nous et en nous. So we can enjoy a tea together for this lovely present moment, sitting together with the Fourfold Sangha, offline and online. And we'll practice to listen to 3 sounds of the bell to begin. And let the cool waters of compassion flow into and out of your heart, calming, healing, refreshing.
Dear respected Thai, dear sisters, dear brothers, welcome to the second day of the Cooling the Flames online retreat. We're so happy to have you here with us. In Buddhist mythology, there is a lake called Lake Anavatapta. And that lake resides, it is said, high in the Himalaya mountains, where the snows accumulate, the storehouse of snow. And 4 rivers come out of that lake to the north, to the east, to the south, and to the west. And it is said those waters come out of the head of gargoyles. Gargoyles are kind of protection spirit that is put on to protect us from the violence, from the hatred, from the anger outside. And so it is said that those cool waters of Lake Anavatapta go out in the 4 directions out of the heads of gargoyles in order to bring energy, refreshment, and calm to everyone in the 4 directions. And I'd actually never heard of this lake, but when I received the lamp in 2011, Pai put it in a poem that he offered, that he transmitted. And I have made it my practice to look and see how I can let the cool waters of Anavatapta, it means the aspect of my mind, of my heart, of my body, that are calming, that are healing, flood my body. How can I let them come into my heart and flow out of my heart? I see this lake like my physical heart. The blood coming in from my veins and moving through the ventricles of my heart, and then receiving oxygen from my lungs and going out through my arteries to my brain, to my limbs, to my legs, every part of my body, bringing the energy I need to sustain life, to cultivate joy, to offer joy. And so, in some way, I see Lake Anavatapta like my physical heart. And with my breathing, I'm cooling my body down. We can take a moment, just like we learned yesterday from Sister Tunim, and come back to our breathing. Breathing in, breathing out. I know I'm breathing out. In, out. Breathing in, I follow with all my attention the whole length of my in-breath. Breathing out, I follow with all my heart the whole length of my out-breath. I'm in touch with my lungs and belly rising, the oxygen going deeply into the blood vesicles, the capillaries in my lungs, moving to my heart and bringing healing energy to my whole body, calming my body down, lowering the stress. Breathing in, I'm aware of my whole body. You have a body. And this body is a miracle. It is breathing. Carrying the oxygen through our limbs, cooling our body, cooling our mind down. Breathing out, I smile to my whole body. It's a kind of mouth yoga. We can smile to our body. It's such a gift to have a body. To be aware in the present moment that I have a body. Breathing in, I calm my body. I relax all the muscles in my body, coming back to the present moment, in touch with any tension that might be there in the body. Breathing out, go of any tension. I don't need to hold on to anything. All the grasping, all the worry, all the anxiety, just let it go. It's such a joy to be alive and to not worry if I'm going to live past this moment. This is already enough. It's already enough to be breathing. It's already enough just to be aware that we have a body, to feel joy. Breathing in, I'm aware of the joy in my body and in my mind. Breathing out, I smile with joy. I don't need anything outside of this present moment for a reason to be joyful. This is a happy moment. Breathing out, I smile to joy. The joy to be alive. Breathing in, I feel happy. It's such a gift to be alive, to be sitting on this cushion here, to be surrounded by the Sangha, whether we are surrounded physically or we are watching on the computer. Just knowing the Sangha is there, practicing mindful breathing, looking deeply at suffering is already enough to be happy. Just knowing the Sangha is there gives us happiness. There are people who are breathing mindfully. There are people who know how to come back to the present moment and be aware of their body. And if there are people like that in the world, there are already enough conditions for happiness. Breathing out, I let go of any worry or anxiety or fear. My happiness in the present moment is already enough. You have enough. Maybe we can listen to another sound of the bell. So when I received this gata from Thai, the cooling waters of Lake Anavatapta, going out in the 4 directions, I practiced to look deeply into my heart and see what anger is still there, what flames are still present, flames that I've kindled in the past, flames that I've been passed on from my father, from my mother, the flame of anger that I have received from the current of ancestors in my family, in my society. And I practice to look deeply into that anger. And see how I can release the flood waters of Lake Anavatapta to cool the flames of that anger. It means how can I take care of my mind and my body in such a way that I'm not overwhelmed by the current of anger which has been transmitted to me from countless generations and caused so much hatred, so much jealousy, so much violence. And the key that I learned from my teacher, Thai, is that there is an intimate connection between suffering and happiness. You cannot have one without the other. You cannot say, I just want happiness, and I like to take my suffering and put it over there. That is a strategy that we inherited from our society, most of us. We and remove it and put it in a corner, maybe in a freezer. We close the freezer door and let it cool down. And then we get to just enjoy our happiness. And we get to consume the products we want to consume, to have the career that we want to have the family that we want to have. And suffering will just remain in the cooler, closed off. That is what we may have inherited from our family, society. But the Buddha taught something radically different. He said, you cannot touch happiness without understanding the nature of suffering. The very nature of suffering is inextricable from the nature of happiness. And that is a very deep and radical teaching. To suffer, the art of suffering, know that when we bring mindfulness to our suffering, we embrace it with all of our heart, all of our compassion, then the cool waters come in. Understanding manifests. It means understanding our suffering. We get the insight that our suffering is rooted in our mind, in our thinking, in our speech, and in our actions. And that is a great cause for happiness. That is the biggest happiness I've discovered in this lifetime. There's a cause to ill-being. There is a cause to suffering. That is sure. There are causes and conditions, and if we know how to look deeply into the causes and conditions that give rise to suffering, we can be the happiest person on earth right away. Because in that insight, we see the way out of suffering. And so as my sister shared, and as Thai often shared, the way out is in. And our happiness, when we look into our suffering, we realize that it is not an individual matter. We suffer, we feel isolated, we feel alone, and we want some pill, some distraction to take us our suffering, to remove it, to put it over there, somewhere else. And yet, no matter how many pills we take, no matter how many job titles we have, no matter how many accolades we receive from our peers, from our loved ones, from society, that suffering is still there. It hasn't gone away. It has been smoldering under the rug of our ignorance. If you've played with fire, you know that the embers can stay there, buried for sometimes days, and the heat continues to build. There are veins of coal which are burning for centuries under the surface of the earth. Flames come out of the earth. Because when we don't know how to understand the roots of our suffering, then we cannot extinguish the flames of anger, of hatred. And so that happiness is not just something in ourselves alone, but something that is in our ancestors, in our mother and in our father, in our society, in our language. So this is a meditation to look deeply into the words we say, to look deeply into the thoughts we think, to look deeply into the bodily actions, how we are with those around us, with our loved ones, in our workplace. See if those actions are contributing to your suffering. It's to point the finger at someone outside and believe, even just for a few moments, that that person is the cause of your suffering. But as practitioners, we know that that will not bring us happiness. We can spend our whole lives blaming other people for our unhappiness. And we will go to our grave still suffering, still with that trauma that has been transmitted to us untransformed. Because we thought we took the easy way out. We suffer immensely, and we decided to, that person is the cause of our suffering. That brother, that sister is the cause of my suffering. My loved one, she is the cause of my suffering. And some people will say, you're right. Some people will believe what you say. And you may spend your life surrounding yourself with people who also believe what you say, that believe that that person is the cause of your suffering. You can create a whole nation of people who believe that their suffering is caused by those people in another country, or those people who have a skin of a different color, darker than yours. We have that nature of blaming. But as mindfulness practitioners, as spiritual friends on the path, we decide to take another way. And so Tai proposed to us a practice Tai proposed to us many practices, but there's a beautiful practice in Plum Village that we call the 4 mantras. Some of you may have heard of a mantra as something that magically transforms the situation of the present moment within us and outside of us. And if we take that mantra to heart and we recite it over and over, maybe hundreds of thousands of times per day, that our suffering will be transformed, that the suffering in the world will also be healed through our diligent practice. And so Tai looked deeply and tried to find the kind of mantras that would have that extraordinary effect. And he realized that that mantra does not need to be chanted in Sanskrit. It does not need to be chanted in Tibetan or Vietnamese. He looked deeply and found the kind of mantra which can be chanted in our own language, our mother tongue. And the first mantra that he discovered is, I am here for you. And I like to start by practicing with myself, being here for myself. When I recite this mantra, because sometimes I don't have anyone there to practice it with. So I practice saying, I'm here for you, to myself. I am here for me. I am here for me. Have you taken a moment yet today to say, I am here for me? To really love yourself, to love what is here, to love the miracle of life that is here in the present moment, to love the fact that you already have enough conditions to be happy, to love the present moment, to love what is there looking at your face in the mirror without any holding back, no hesitation. Your whole heart is in being here for yourself. That is a training. We accept what is there in this body, in these feelings, in these perceptions, in these mental formations, and in our consciousness. We have no hesitation, radical acceptance. And when we can be present like that for ourselves, then we already know in our heart how to be present for the one we love, the one who is sitting next to us, the one who's maybe missed our presence. We talk about the TV programs, we talk about the news, we talk about our family. But if we practice this mantra, we can propose a new topic of conversation, which is what is going on right here and right now. I am here for you. And I want you to know that. I am here for you. So you may like to sit down next to your loved one. Maybe they are watching the television, maybe they are engaged in some activity. And just follow your breathing. I practice this with my mother. I practice this with my father. As a young man, I had a lot of anger in my heart. And I looked for a source of that anger. And somehow, the way I was raised, I was invited to find the source of that anger outside of myself. There was always some situation, some person who was the cause of my anger, who was not fair, who had done something unjust. And so I had the right to be angry at that person. That is what I felt. Like a human right. And then sometimes that anger went towards my father. Sometimes that anger went towards my mother. Because I didn't have the practice yet of the mantras. I didn't have the practice yet of looking deeply into my own anger and seeing my father's anger. Right there, hidden in a signless way in my own heart. I didn't have the practice yet of seeing my mother's anger there in a signless way in my heart, in my own heart. But with this mantra and as a practitioner, I learned how when I sat there with my father, maybe he was watching the television set, with my mother, maybe she was busy doing things around the house. And I would find a skillful way for them just to sit down next to me. And then I would say, dear mom, dear dad, I have something I would like to share. And so they think, wow, this is a very special moment. Maybe he's going to tell me he's getting married. Maybe he's going to tell me that he got somebody pregnant. Oh my goodness. Maybe he said he's not going to be a monk anymore. And so they feel very curious. What is he going to say? And so I might pause for a moment and come back to my breathing and say, Mommy, I'm here for you. Dad, I am here for you. And you say it with all of your heart. You don't hold anything back because there's nothing to hold back. You're offering the present moment to your father and to your mother. And actually, that is all there is. So what is there to hold back? I am here for you with all my heart, all my joy, all my presence. We can listen to a sound of the bell. We do not know how much longer our father will be there with us, or our mother. Tai offered us a practice. When we feel anger towards our loved one, we can imagine them in 300 years. just a pile of dust on the floor. How can you get angry at a pile of dust? And here is the living, breathing mother, the living, breathing father, there in front of you, your loved one, your partner. Now, in this present moment, they are not just a decomposed pile of dust that has gone into Mother Earth. They are living there in front of you with their eyes wide to hear what you have to say. And so you remember the gata that Tai transmitted to you, the mantra that will heal and transform your anger. The second mantra, which is, I know you are there, and I'm so happy. It's a miracle to know that our loved one is there. I know you are there, and I am so happy. And you can say their name, Dad, Mom, darling, darling, I know you are there, and I'm so happy. I know my brothers and sisters are here in the hall, and I'm so happy. It's a miracle to have a sangha. It's a miracle to have a person who cares for us. It's a miracle even to have a fly around my face. Imagine if you are on the moon. You have no beautiful trees around you, no flowing water, and no mosquitoes or flies to fly in your face. But here we are on Mother Earth, and for free I get a fly flying around my head. I didn't even ask for it. It's a miracle. The wonders of life are within us and around us in every moment. But do we recognize them? Do we really see that they present to us in every moment? Your father or your mother sitting there beside you is a wonder, always transforming, impermanent. You think you know who they are, but are you sure? In front of your face, they change in real time. If you know how to look deeply with the eyes of compassion, you see that your idea of your mother, your idea of your father is only an idea that you superimpose on the reality of the living, breathing human being in front of your eyes. They are a wonder. They are the greatest gift. And so it's easy when you recite the mantra, I know you are there and I am happy, because you have a living wonder of Mother Earth manifested in front of your very eyes. When you look into their eyes, you see the cosmos. You see all living creatures like a current flowing through the veins and arteries of their body from countless generations. There they are. This living, breathing wonder of life. And so you smile and say, again, I know you are there, and I'm happy. And the practice becomes very easy. And the cooling waters of Lake Anavatapta flow through your heart. And you calm the flames of your anger. And when you look into the eyes of your loved one, and you see their suffering, you can give rise to compassion and practice the third mantra. I know you suffer. Darling, I know you suffer, and I want you to know that I'm here for you. Compassion is one of the greatest gifts that we can offer another person. It is our true inheritance as human beings. Yes, we have the capacity for great hatred, for great anger. But in our heart, there is an endless ocean of compassion and understanding. When we are able to calm our anger, let the cooling waters extinguish the flames of our hatred, we see the great vast ocean of compassion which has been there all along. We don't need to force it. We don't need to pump water up from some other place in order to have that compassion available to us. It is already there. You're just pushing apart the watery plants, the weeds, and seeing the cool waters that are there. Already in your heart, transmitted to you from your ancestors. As a young boy, I sat on the lap of my grandmother for many hours. Usually she was watching soap operas, kind of love drama on the television in the afternoon, and my parents were not home yet from work. But I received from her that transmission of compassion and patience and love just by sitting on her lap. I never forget all those hours sitting on my grandmother's lap as she held me. As an adult, I learned that how sad my grandmother was when I didn't jump up and sit in her lap anymore. I think maybe I 9 or 10, and I felt like I'm a boy now. I should not sit in my grandmother's lap and watch soap operas anymore. Actually, I didn't really understand the soap opera, but I did receive the compassion of my grandmother, her infinite patience, her willingness to embrace and understand me, my father, my mother, our family, to hold a space of love, of compassion, even in silence, like a solid rock, like a bed of compassion. So when you practice the third mantra, I know you suffer, you give rise to that ocean of compassion. Let it flood through your being, cooling down the flames. Recognizing the suffering in the other person means we recognize the suffering in ourselves. It is very difficult to see the suffering in the eyes of our loved one if we have not yet learned how to embrace the suffering in our own heart. So just like the first mantra, I am here for you, we can begin by practicing saying to ourselves, I know I suffer. I know I suffer. You can smile to your suffering. It is not something to be ashamed of. In fact, it is one of the greatest gifts that you receive as a human being on this earth, the gift of suffering. Because you treated it as waste, as a horrible trauma that should be removed as soon as possible. You did not see the great gift that was there, present in your suffering. We know that when a child touches the flame of the stovetop, they are curious about the beautiful flame. So they reach out their hand, they touch, and the pain. Without that pain, they might continue to hold their hand in the flame and let their fingers wither and burn. But thanks to the gift of the pain they feel from touching the flame, they learn how to bring the hand back, to remove the source of the suffering. So when we suffer, see it as a great gift. It is the current of our ancestors transmitting an important message to us in the present moment. And so we learn how to practice the art of deep listening. How can I listen deeply to the current of suffering that is manifesting in my heart in the present moment? And then we, being aware, I'm breathing in, being aware, I'm breathing out. And that mindfulness that we have generated through our mindful breathing is available to us to envelop and embrace the suffering that is manifesting in the present moment. And we feel happiness. Our suffering is like a crying child. The mother does not know, is the child hungry? Is the child sick? Is the child lonely? She doesn't know, so she goes directly to the child and picks it up in her arms and holds it to her breast, embracing it. And then she knows how to calm the suffering of the baby. And we also know how to transform our suffering. The baby is crying, but have we embraced it? Have we held it in our arms tenderly to our chest as we breathe in and breathe out, in order to allow the wisdom that is there in our very body to arise, envelop, and calm the child of our suffering? So by practicing the third mantra, I know I suffer, in our very own body, in our mind, then when we sit and we look into the eyes, it is a very easy thing to do, to see the suffering in the other person. Happiness and suffering are not individual matters. The suffering of our loved one is also our suffering. And we can be the one who unleashes the ocean of compassion for that person, allows them to swim in the cool waters of our understanding and compassion, so that their energy of suffering can calm down, can transform into happiness, into joy. Darling, I know you suffer, and I want you to know that I am here for you. And sometimes our suffering is so great. We bring our mindfulness up, we embrace the suffering, but it continues to overwhelm us. We cannot stop nourishing the roots of that suffering in our consciousness. And that is when we can practice the fourth mantra, the most difficult mantra. And that is, darling, I suffer. Please help. We suffer, and we believe the source of our suffering to be the person that we love most in the world. When those who we love make us suffer, it is so deep, so profound. How could the person that I love the most cause this suffering to me? And when they come to us, when they put their arm around us and try to understand our suffering, we push them away. Get out of here. I don't suffer. Why do you think I suffer? The suffering is so overwhelming. But if we know how to smile, we can summon the Sangha. The Sangha is there in our heart. The Sangha here in Plum Village is in our heart. And that will give us the strength and the courage to recognize our suffering as it is. To no longer be caught by the idea that that other person alone is the cause of our suffering. But to recognize how through our thinking, through our speaking, through our acting, we have sown the seeds of suffering in our consciousness. And those seeds have manifested as this deep, overwhelming trauma, this deep suffering that is manifesting now in the present moment. And you can put your hand on your heart and breathe deeply in and out. This takes a lot of bravery. And in that moment, when your loved one is sitting next to you, the one who you believe has caused you the worst kind of suffering, you can summon the courage of the Bodhisattva and say, darling, I suffer. Please help. It's such a courageous act. You have suffered for years, perhaps, in that relationship. And that suffering has become overwhelming. If you're not careful, it will continue on and on for weeks and years and months, maybe a whole lifetime. But in one moment, with this mantra, and all of your heart and all of your love, you summon up your courage and say, I suffer, please help. You say it with with a vulnerable heart, a soft heart. And when you are able to do it, you'll see the other person transform. When they see that that living, breathing person suffering, you will generate the compassion in their heart. Eyes. It's magical, this mantra. So powerful. You have offered them a gift of touching their compassion. One of the greatest gifts that we can offer to another human being. Your openness, you allow yourself to be fully bared before the other person, for them to see the depths of your suffering. But it's not for revenge, not for making them feel guilty, but only for offering them the gift of touching compassion. And they will learn how to listen deeply to your suffering. You can listen to the sound of the bell. So in Plum Village, we don't teach theory, we teach practice. And the nature of our practice is applied. I like to call it the first person applied neuroscience. Practicing these mantras takes courage. But if we are true scientists, we are a true researcher, we want to get to understand the nature of our suffering. Its intricate and intimate connection with happiness. Then it will not be hard to sit next to our loved one and practice to say, I know you suffer. I know I suffer. Please help me. And this is the art of deep listening and loving speech. We've learned already in the retreat how to walk mindfully, how to breathe mindfully, how to eat our lunch in mindfulness. And in Dharma sharing, we can look at it, we can look at our practice in just the same way. Mindfulness to our hearing and mindfulness to our speech. How can I listen in such a way that I can touch compassion in my heart? Compassion means we don't only empathize with the other person. It means that we bring healing. We bring the capacity to transform the suffering of the other person with our listening. So you allow their suffering to be embraced by the ocean of compassion, the waters of anavatapta, cooling and healing. That is the kind of listening that we practice in Dharma sharing or with our loved one. It means we listen in such a way that we don't get caught in our perceptions about the other person. We see their impermanent nature, their non-self nature. In the breathing and they are suffering. And with our listening alone, not giving advice, just being here for that person, we can bring about healing, even online. That is the miracle of the practice of deep listening. It is like we remove the plastic that is covering the earth so that the healing waters of the rain penetrate deeply into the surface of the earth. That is the way in which we practice to listen. And when we listen like that, then loving speech becomes very easy. We know when the words that we say bring suffering to the other person because they also bring suffering to ourselves. Even as we say them, we can feel the pain, we can feel the anger, the blaming, the judgment. Someone who knows how to listen deeply is capable of. In fact, our speech will harm ourselves much longer than it will harm others. That is the insight of the Buddha's teaching. And so by listening deeply to ourselves, turning our spotlight inward, shining it on our thoughts, shining it on our thinking, our perceptions, we know right away the kind of perceptions which can cause harm to ourselves and harm to others. Practice to let go of those words, let go of those thoughts, come back to our breathing, come back to our body, and shine the light of mindfulness on our suffering. Those words, those harmful words will not take us out of suffering. They only continue to kindle the flames of our anger collectively. So deep listening and loving speech are a very deep practice. And with these 4 mantras, if you have courage, you will learn how to practice letting go of your. I'd like to finish with a quote from Thai. Buddhism teaches that joy and happiness arise from letting go. Just let it go. Your worries, your anger, your anxiety. Please sit down and take an inventory of your life. There are things you've been hanging onto that are really not useful and deprive you of your freedom. Find the courage to let them go. An overloaded boat is easily capsized by wind and waves. Lighten your load, and your boat will travel more quickly and safely. You can offer the precious gift of freedom and space to your loved ones, but only if it is truly there in your own heart. You can offer the precious gift of freedom and space to your loved ones, but only if it is truly there in your own heart. Thank you for your practice, and thank you for your deep listening.
Hello, friends. Thank you, Brother Phap for offering the teachings this morning. Just like yesterday, after this, the community in Plum Village, we shall be practicing walking meditation. So please feel free to also practice walking meditation wherever is suitable for you at your home. Also enjoy a mindful meal today as the community also practice a mindful meal in Plum Village. At 2:30, we shall have total relaxation. And then at 3:30, we shall have the Dharma sharing with the live facilitators from Plum Village. So if you have signed up, please come at least 10 minutes early to set up in order to be present to share this practice together with all of us here. We would like to also apologize for this morning's technical difficulty. We know that you are there and we are very happy. And throughout the difficulties, we know that you're very patient, and thank you for your compassion, thank you for your support. And know that we are doing our best, we are trying our best to make everything run smoothly. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful practice and have a wonderful day with us here.